Good morning. I'm going to share my screen. There we are. Amen. We got some business. The scriptures this morning comes from 1 Corinthians 7, verses 21 to 24. What would Paul say? These words were written against me in an effort to get me fired. Needless to say, this assignment was a little bit tough because I still haven't quite over it. But what I should have been asking, and what we should all be asking when faced with controversies, instead of being slaves to anger or slaves to our addictions, is what would Jesus say? But if you go on to the scriptures, you can also say, what do you say? For Paul tells us, do not be a slave to man, persons, women, people. Do not be a slave to people, even yourself. Poor Paul. It's no wonder he was always holding his head in Rembrandt's pictures. And I've got 5 of them for you. And he's definitely starting to get some gray and some wrinkles here because he had lots to say to lots of people. There's controversies and arguments on marriage and sexual immorality, deceit, food. It's no wonder he became a tired elder. Lisa Bowens, in her book, shared how the scriptures of Paul was used in the slaves against the slaves of the South. And today, though, I want to use it for all those who are in active addiction or past addiction. So AA's tagline, once a drunk, always a drunk. Doesn't matter whether it was yesterday or many years ago. We still fight it. It does not take away from anything that the authorities struggle so hard against, even in today's modern slave trade, the human trafficking that is rampant with the new technologies. But each of us will go on to find we will have those who are struggling with addiction in our lives. It crosses borders and boundaries between gender, age, economics, race. An addiction is an addiction, and it's slavery. In today's scriptures, 21 to 24, were you a slave when called? Do not be concerned about it. Even if you gain your freedom, make use of your present condition now, more than ever. For whoever was called in the Lord as a slave is a freed person belonging to the Lord. Just to whoever was free when called is a slave of Christ. We were bought with a price. Do not become a slave to human masters. In whatever condition you are called, brothers and sisters, there remain. Abide with God. Lisa Bowens over and over uses the word dehumanization. And that's what shame does. The shame that comes with the addictions. It devalues us. So in this passage, Paul, that's sandwiched between louder issues, but trivial issues, marriage, food, compared to the one that's in and suffering, it seems like such a sliver of hope between those bigger passages. When I looked at the scriptures, I found help not in looking up the Greek and doing the exegesis, but in the affirmation that I underlined many years ago. It's underlined in the AA Bible, and it's biased, yes, but it's an affirmation of hope, especially now in this season of Christmas and hope. But the affirmation of the call to you and to me, and that we have value. In searching for the definition and the genre and all of the likes, I found another poor soul named John Lyth, and his quote on these verses of Paul and our call says, if it's an honest one. I like that part because that's what they tried to tell me. It wasn't, but my call is, and if it's an honest one, it's God's own appointment. God has blessed you in it. It can be no impediment to a holy life, and it affords ample scope for the development of Christian character. How short and sweet is that? It's to the heart of what an affirmation is, that Paul wants us to learn to serve a God who calls us with love and no judgment, that gives us value. Now, poor John Lyth had a critic as well. And his critic, a contemporary named Spurgeon, Charles Spurgeon, wrote in his commentary that, and I have eggs, and I break a lot of eggs, literally and figuratively. But Spurgeon says, where it's easy to divide an egg by letting it fall to the floor, the author, John Lyth, does so with the text. Ouch. Yeah. I can sympathize with him. I can empathize with him. But we can go and take all these little slivers of hope between the passages on marriage and food and the endless stream of controversies that Paul ran into. And we can laugh with thanksgiving because we do have the value and we do have the encouragement. And we can take that encouragement and give it to others. We are called. We do not have to be robbed of our personhood to give value. That value in our intrinsic personhood to others in our lives. Amen. Thank you.